Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I am very excited. We are continuing on with what has become my favorite series on this channel, my client spotlight. Today, we have another amazing woman that we're going to be interviewing and just kind of learning a little bit more about. Patty is an aspiring entrepreneur who loves to dream. She authored the Dreams and Glory Journal and just started her company, Cloudline Co. She also just launched a property management and real estate investment company called Tower 44 Estates. She loves to hang out with friends and be in warm, sunny places like beaches, especially. And she aspires to be healthy mind, body, and soul, which I think we all definitely want that as well for ourselves. So I'm very excited to bring Patty on to share a little bit more about her story and what all she's working on. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, excited to have you on and chat. We were on a call the other day, and I just was so excited for you and everything that you're working on and what's to come for Cloudline Co. And so I'm just really happy for you to be here for to have opportunity to talk a little bit about what all you're doing with some of my viewers. So first of all, before we get into all of the fun stuff, just tell us a little bit more about who are you? Who are just a little introduction of yourself.
Well, like you said, I'm an aspiring entrepreneur. I launched a couple businesses this year. One of them being Cloudline Co., which is a business that's going to be selling dream journals, and I'm have many titles and hats like many of the women that are watching this video. Wife, mother, sister, friend, daughter, all of the above, etc., etc. But yeah, that's basically who I am.
Love it. Love it so much. And so definitely I would love for you to just share a bit more about Cloudline and Co, but even specifically about the Dreams and Glory Journal and just like the whole idea that you have around dreaming and how important it is. I would love for you to just give some information on that because I think people would find it so interesting.
Yeah, I kind of birthed Cloudline and Co. because I realized that many people did not have the tools to be equipped to interpret their dreams. I've been a dreamer since I can remember, since I was very little. And I know my mom and my sister, they are both dreamers. So I became a Christian back in 2013. And around that time, God flooded my life with dreams pretty much every single night. And I began studying what those dreams meant through different authors, different books, just kind of mentoring myself and what it all means. And next thing you know, I began interpreting other people's dreams. They would share with me what their dreams were. And so, even though I would give them these books and say, hey, this is what I read, this is what I used, I began to notice a pattern that the same people that I would hand out these books weren't really reading those books. So I figure, why not create an all-in-one tool where I can help specifically Christian women interpret their dreams for them, and they have like this direct line, this direct access to God, who's speaking to them in their nightlife, in their dreams, um, and then they get to have revelation for their lives. They get to understand what God's heart is for their lives. It's just amazing sometimes, the revelation and just like the light bulb moment that goes off when you were like, oh, so that's what it means when I dream about my ex. That's like the number one dream. And people, I mean, so many women dream about their exes, and I'm like, I have zero feelings for him whatsoever, but he keeps popping in there. And I'm like, well, this is why.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see. And I know, like for myself, I tend to remember better when I write things down. And having like that all-in-one tool to be able to write things down and then also reference a index or a dictionary in the back along with the guide in the front, I think would be very helpful.
Yes, and it's a very well thought out product. Like you guys, it's absolutely amazing. All of the research that she's done and everything, and I just find it so fascinating, especially because I've heard, a lot of times people will talk about like dreaming and just different things, but I love the fact that there's this faith aspect to it, which just really makes me just so intrigued. And I'm sure there is somebody probably wondering, like, well, does it mean if I'm dreaming about my ex? Would you feel comfortable sharing like what that could mean for them possibly?
Yeah, dreaming about your ex usually means that you're going back into old habits or old mindsets. And so God is really highlighting to you what is that old mindset or habit that you keep repeating, because he wants us to renew our minds, right? So if we're going to renew our minds, we have to be aware of our old habits and old patterns. We're supposed to be a new creation, essentially, right? So dreaming of your ex is very common because of that reason, especially if you're like renewing your faith and or you're a new believer. Um, those kinds of dreams tend to come up often, and I mean, for me, sometimes they still come every now and then, but yeah, it's just God telling you, hey, there's this thing I want to work in you, and let's get rid of that.
Yeah. I love that. It's just crazy too because there's so many times where I'll have like the most vivid, crazy dreams. Times like where I've woke up mad at my husband because something crazy that happened in the dream. But it's like if I don't talk about it or write it down within that first window when I first wake up, it's gone. Like I might remember one small detail and then it's gone. So this is just so interesting to me and I love it. So we were talking a little bit about the Dreams and Glory Journal. And I know when you came to start working with me, this was an idea that you had in your head, but you were also in the process of getting it published and designed. And so you were well on your way. So just kind of walk everyone through how has that process been for you, just from taking this idea that you had, this passion that you have of really wanting to interpret dreams and turning it into this product? How did you get it from the idea to kind of when you were like, okay, I think I would love to get a little bit of help, and then a little bit about where you are in the process now?
I had the idea back around 2019, and I sat on it for 2 years. I started writing like, I think, a paragraph, and then I just sat on it. I don't know what it was. I feel like sometimes when we have a dream, but then our flesh gets in the way, life gets in the way, and um, I just sat on it. Like I was like, I didn't know what to do with it, honestly. I had like an idea of what I wanted, but I didn't have the drive. So the drive was like the thing that I had to work through. But anyway, in 2020, COVID hit, and like a lot of people, I got I was hit with depression pretty hard, and um, I'm not going to go into that because it can be pretty deep and emotional. But
Yeah.
I got hit with depression, and uh, in 2022, I felt like God really delivered me from it. And then uh, he, I would feel like this unction in my spirit saying, "Hey, you need to work on this book." And so I sat in front of my computer at the beginning of 2022, and every single night, after I put my kids to bed and things like that, I would sit in front of my laptop and just work at it. I would every single night, even if it was just like 5 words. I just was like had to push through, and I finished the book like around May or June. So it took about 5 to 6 months, which is for me a big accomplishment because you for me, I've tried to do things like this before, and I just felt like I could never finish it. So, um, but yeah, it was sitting collecting dust on my laptop for like 2 years before I was like, okay, now is the time to work on it. And I felt like when the depression lifted, the the oppression also lifted. So a lot of
Mm,
times
yes.
depression goes hand in hand with oppression. So I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that. Um, But once we have that breakthrough, or once I had that breakthrough, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to just go hard at this, and because I just know that it's going to help so many other women.
I just have to just say, first of all, just thank you for sharing that because I think we all went through our own version of whatever depression might have looked like, or just accepting just not having control of things in 2020. And I definitely had my fair share of it. My anxiety was through the roof during that time. So I completely understand. So thank you for sharing that. And I also just loved that you were saying how even if it was just 5 words, or even if it was just a little bit that you did do, I think that that's important for people to realize. It's like you don't have to finish the whole idea in a day or in a week. Like it can be something that you work towards to eventually have this final thing, because at one point you woke up and you were finally like, okay, I'm ready to do this. And so what was that shift like when you said it was collecting dust on the laptop, you had the idea, and then when did you finally shift to, okay, I'm ready to get this thing published, I'm ready to figure out how to get it created? What was that like for you just internally?
Uh, Gosh, internally, I, you know, I was like I said, like I wanted to really help women. I think that was, um, like kind of my heart in all of it. Like I've I've started things and have failed before. This wasn't like the first thing that I've done on to like to expand God's kingdom. Like I've tried to do like these big prayer groups, and I've tried to do Facebook communities, and like that failed. And I was getting frustrated with God. I'm like, maybe I wasn't supposed to do this. And so it's weird because I didn't think that I would have so much passion doing this journal, but I did feel the call on my life to be a writer. And now that I've published a book, now I feel like I can call myself a writer.
Mm.
But before I was just like, no, I'm not a writer. And so I would try all these other things, and it just didn't work out. But I just felt like God was telling me I still honored those things because those things brought you to where you are now. Like you learned from those past mistakes. That was the whole point of you going through that, even though it wasn't successful. So
Yeah.
I think I had to remember like those failures that you've gone through are still honored. And so I'm like, well, even if this book fails, even if I get it into the hands of just like 5 people, I know that I'm going to help those 5 people a lot. Like
Yeah.
it's just how I'm thinking now. Like I'm like, how can I really serve and help people and get out of my own self? Like how do I do that? So like my vision for the book is like, yeah, I'm hoping to make money, but I'm also hoping to like give the book to rehab facilities, like maybe women in transition and they don't hear the voice of the Lord, and maybe this is an avenue that they can use to hear God's voice,
I love
because a lot
that.
of time we don't have like this the discernment right away. And many of us are seers. We see and we have vision, and those visions come through dreams. And so I wanted I love Jesus, so I wanted people to see like what he's done in my life, and I'm hoping that they can see that he can do the same for them.
Oh, that is beautiful. To just share the love of God and to just show how He's worked within your own life. And but then the fact that you want to be able to give this to women in need, I think is just so special. I just love just your mission, like it's so much more than a journal. Like you have a whole mission, a whole movement that you're trying to create. So I just think that that is so inspiring,
Mhm.
definitely encouraging to me for sure. And I've just loved watching you through this process. So I know that some things are kind of picking up a little bit. There's some exciting things happening right now in your business. So share a little bit with us kind of where you're at with your journal right now.
So right now, I am raising funds for the initial inventory, and I'm doing it through Kickstarter. And I've heard good things about Kickstarter, about raising funds, especially when you don't have a whole lot to begin with. And Kickstarter would also be a good gauge on how much the demand is really, and like uh, I'm thinking, well, do people really want this book? And I'm like, oh, they do, because they're pre-ordering it through my Kickstarter campaign. Then my goal is to raise 5,300 by the end of this month, March 31st. And if I don't get all of the funds, I don't get anything. So it's a huge leap of faith to say, hey, God, I'm going to trust you that you're going to fund this entire campaign, and say, if I've wasted two months like getting the campaign launch and I don't get anything, I mean, that's saying a lot. Like, okay, am I going to be okay with this launch failing? Part of me is like, no, I'm not going to be okay with it. I spent too much of my heart and soul into it, so I'm just believing big and believing that God's going to fund it.
Yeah, I'm believing big for you as well. That was one of the main reasons I wanted to do this, is because the Kickstarter campaign is going on right now, everybody. And so if you have anything to contribute to Patty making this dream actually, like a reality and make it happen, definitely check it out. The links will be down below for that, because when she told me that she was doing that, I just was so encouraged just with that, because so many times we will tell ourselves, like, okay, I want to do this thing, but then you hit a number of somebody telling you like, well, this is how much it's going to cost. And then that's enough to stop people. And so once we started working together on kind of figuring out what would be the best manufacturer for her journal, and she kind of got that solidified, then it was like, okay, this is a pretty, hefty investment, but I'm still going to do it anyway. And so just the fact that you're creating your own way, literally, to make this happen. Because I think things like that, like Kickstarter, even for me, I'm like, that seems so intimidating, but like you're doing it, you're already like more than halfway to your goals. So I'm just so excited for you. How has it felt so far? I know you said definitely like the fear of it not happening, but how has it felt to just see the people that have backed it so far? I'm sure that's been exciting.
Yeah, I will have to say that I have this newfound respect for people who do campaign fundraising as a job, because I don't know how I would last. It's been literally 11 days now since it's launched,
Yeah.
but a lot of people don't see the behind the scenes, like what I did to get it launched. Like, it took weekends, like 4 full weekends of me staying up till like 4 or 5 in the morning to work on the campaign. And it's funny, you're like, what did you go through? And I'm like, I actually went through some spiritual stuff, because and that's how I knew it was important work, because it wasn't bad spiritual stuff. It was good spiritual stuff. Like in the middle of the night, like my lights in my office would flicker, and it would flicker, like turn itself on and off like 3 times. And I'm like,
Oh my gosh. I probably would have left the house on that one.
well, like, I've lived here for what, like 5 years, and it's never done
Yeah.
that before.
Oh my
And my
gosh.
husband works with me in my office all day with the lights on. So I'm like, what is going on here? And I don't know what was going on. I'm still trying to figure it out. But I knew it was important work. And so I would just keep pushing through. And there is a lot of prep work. Like, I have to have, people are very visual. They like to see pictures. They like to see your stories. I had to record a video and post it on Kickstarter. I had to write out a copy, hire a copywriter script and put the copy into my Kickstarter campaign. I had to figure out like the cost, like what does it cost to bring the book here per book, and then what is the cost to ship it, and include that in the reward tiers and all that. So with Kickstarter, I'm just like, if it's just $1 that you have, please donate $1.
Yeah.
If I'm just short by that $1, I don't get funded. That's how Kickstarter is. And so I'm like, don't think that $1 is not enough, because it totally could be that
It
that
could
one
make or break everything, right?
break anything, everything, right? And um, but yeah, I've just been. It's kind of cool to see how many people have supported me by just pledging and not getting a reward. They're like, I just want to see your project be successful.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good chunk of my pledges have been just people who want to pledge with no reward. So I think that's pretty cool. And I've also kind of understood that even with the campaign stuff, it's all about serving people, having connections, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a lot of people in my network, and I'm reaching out to like 6, 7 people every day and saying, hey, I don't know what's going on with you. I hope you are doing well, but this is what's going on with me. If you feel led to pledge to it, please do. And if you don't, then it's okay. Just pray on it, because prayer works wonders. I believe God will bless it through your prayers. And so that has been I just I don't want to feel like salesy, but I almost feel like I am. Like
I mean,
you're
this is yeah, it's kind of like it's a do or die moment where it's kind of like you have to just kind of put all your eggs out on the table and just be like, okay, look, this is what I have going on right now. Either you can support it, or like you said, at least having your thoughts and prayers as I'm going through this. So
yeah.
no, I don't think it's salesy at all. I think it's fitting for this, and I just really applaud you for just showing up for yourself, because I know it can be intimidating to send out messages and ask people essentially for their support. But I think once you get through this process and you just see how amazing you've been through it and how all of the hard work has paid off, that it's like, okay, I can do anything. Like now, if I want to raise $100,000, I can do that. Like whatever you have, whatever God has planted in you, like I already know you can make it happen just because you're planting these little seeds now. Um, and you'll definitely see the benefits from that for sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So as you were talking, I was thinking that it would be kind of cool to hear a little bit, because I know you are a busy lady. You have a lot of different things going on in addition to what you, of course, are doing with Cloudline Co. So I would just love for you to just share with everyone, like, how do you find the time to do this on top of everything you have going on? Like, kind of just give us a picture of like, how are you finding the time to like get the photos that you did and, coordinating everything and, um, just how do you prioritize your dreams and things on top of all of the other things you have going on?
That's a very good question. I wonder that sometimes myself. Right now, the days are going by like seconds. That's how
Yeah.
it is to me. Um, when when for me, I work a full-time job, so I'm like, 8:30 to 5:30. I'm working a full-time job on top of launching these two businesses, and because I have so much vision for my life and for other people, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna have to really dedicate my time to this and be focused. And so that meant like turning down a lot of social engagements that I knew were just social engagements and didn't provide opportunities. So I would be in prayer and I would be like, hey, God, is this social connection going to benefit your kingdom? Or is this connection going to benefit my business? That kind of thing. And if it doesn't, I say no. So this has been a season of saying no quite a bit.
Mm.
Um, yeah, because I'm a social butterfly. I like to connect with people. I like to socialize, and so it's been kind of hard because one of my best friends, uh, she puts together these workouts in the morning, and the girls have been getting together on Saturdays for yoga and brunch, and I can't go to them.
Oh,
I mean, I guess I can, but I'm choosing not to.
right.
Um, And I'm just like, it's just for now. It's just for now. And my dream too is just to be able to be at home with my boys. I have two boys. They're 8 and 4, and I'm like, I don't want a stranger raising them. I want to be at home with them myself. And so I have vision to be able to like travel and to spend more time as a family. And if that means sacrificing the now temporarily, I'm going to do that. I'm actually okay with doing that right now. So it's really a mindset that, it's, and I'm sure you've gone through that, but the mindset has to be there with anything. And I think that's important when you're pursuing your dreams. Like, is your purpose, is your vision, is that, are you connected with that enough to really go for it? And so I
Right.
have to connect with it every single day. Like, what is the purpose of Cloudline? Like, yes, it's to help other people, but it's also to launch something that's going to provide legacy.
Everything you said literally is how I feel so much. And I think so many women can relate to just definitely wanting to be home with their children if they're moms, but also feeling this pull of like, okay, I know this is something I want to do, but like I have all these other things. And I think that is the biggest thing, is just like you have to choose to make a sacrifice if you want these bigger desires later on down the line. And so turning down the social engagement, it can be hard, especially if you don't have people in your life that kind of get what you're doing, or if they're feeling, like a certain way of like, well, why is she all of a sudden, acting like she doesn't want to hang out? And so hopefully it sounds like you do have a good support system with that. But I think that that's just a good reminder to anyone, if lack of time, or, feeling like you have a lot on your plate is a reason of why you're feeling like you can't do that. A lot of times we are in control of what we do with our time and what we can say no to. I love how you're saying it's a season of no, but just realizing that it is a season. So I really, really loved that you shared that, because I think it can definitely make or break how hard you go, how successful something can be,
Mm-hmm.
just based off of you choosing yourself and what you want to do. So I love that.
Yeah, and I don't know how single moms do it, because right
I
now
don't either.
I'm leaning a lot on my husband, right? I'm like, I can't work and take care of the kids, so you're just gonna have to do that for me too. So I have a tremendous support amount from my husband and tremendous amount of help from him, and that's key for me right now too, is just to be able to lean on him. So if you have somebody like that in your life to lean on, then yeah,
Oh
make
my
sure
gosh.
to
Yes.
support you. Yeah.
Yes. And then even like with the seasons too, it's like they come and go. So there's certain seasons of business where it can be a little more like chill and you're able to show up, and then there'll be another Kickstarter campaign, or there'll be another launch or something. I know you also have your rental property business that's taking off too, which that's when like you are busy. So I'm just so excited for all of the things that you have coming up. Definitely, what advice do you have for anyone that might be watching this? Maybe they've been sitting on an idea for a few years as well, and they're really just wanting to finally get out of their own way, make it happen, and just stop being so scared. What advice do you have for that woman?
I would say that your message is bigger than your fear, and that pushing through conquers fear. I think that if you know that you can push through, eventually that fear will be conquered. When you are connected with the purpose of why you want to do it, that fear will also be conquered. I think, um, in the Christian world, like, fear is such a liar. Fear is a liar. And that's what I have to say all the time. I'm like, fear is a liar. It doesn't dictate where I'm going to go. It doesn't dictate who I am. It doesn't dictate anything that's happening in my life. So I just have to remember that fear lies. Um, so I think that many people who pursue entrepreneurship have to push through the fear and get connected with their purpose. I think that's really important. Is getting connected with your purpose, and then kind of getting connected with your emotions too. I had, 2020 was about getting deep inside my emotions and my trauma and going through the healing. And I think if there's healing that needs to be done to really endure and be okay with the process. And I know working with you, Tatiana, like I had to be okay with the process. Like I didn't think it was going to take 6 to 7 months just to publish my book.
Yeah.
And I also didn't think it was going to take 4 to 5 months just to get the first sample. So I'm like, okay, this is taking a little longer than I had thought it would, but at the same time, I'm like, this is just the process. I had to release a lot of expectations. I had
Mm-hmm.
to release a lot of perfectionism. Like, I think if you're a procrastinator like I was, perfectionism goes hand in hand with procrastination. Like, if you feel
Definitely.
like if it's not perfect, then you may feel like you're not going to want to do it. But I had to let go of perfectionism and expectations and all of that to continue to just push through.
You said so many good things. Definitely, I love fear is a lie. I loved that one. And yeah, I agree. I think that perfectionism and procrastination definitely go hand in hand because we wait for things to be perfect or to look like what we thought it was supposed to look like. And so we just continue to hold off and wait. It's like, oh no, it's not quite ready. But I love that you're continuing to push on. And I think, yeah, with all of this stuff, the expectations going in is always so different from how it ends up coming out on the other side. So I just think it's amazing, that you are sticking with it, you're being patient, and you're starting to see the fruits of that. And I also just think it's so interesting how God has just placed these different clients in my life. Like, I share my heart on my videos and I talk, but it's just so cool. Like the women that he connects me with are always believers, they're very faithful. They're so inspiring to me. And that's why I just love having them come on this channel to just echo the same things that God tells me. It's just so, 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 so cool. So, how do you feel? I know you kind of briefly mentioned a little bit about just us working together and just kind of figuring out how to get past those expectations and things. So, how has it been with us working together? Hopefully, it's been helpful for you and you've kind of felt me in your corner and everything. But I would love to just hear a little bit about how that's been too.
Oh, yes. Tatiana, I think you've been my cheerleader behind the scenes. When I was trying to figure out just the vendor thing, I'm like, I don't even know where to go. I feel like everything's so expensive. And you were able to provide me options. You had all the resources. And even if I didn't pursue those options, you were like, okay, we can deviate. We can go, look for
Yeah.
something. So I felt like you were very patient with that process too. And I appreciated that. And then, of course, I've done like 2 WordPress sites before in my life, and I'm just like, just the thought of setting up my online store felt overwhelming to me. But you're like, no, it's really actually really easy. So I'm like, yeah, easy for you to say, and you were very supportive with like, well, if you need help in this area, I can totally help you. And I just felt like you were very, very servant minded. Like maybe if this isn't something that's part of the course or part of the mentorship, then you were like, it's okay, I can help you with that because I do have the skill, I do have the expertise in that. So I felt like I didn't feel like, oh well, just because you bought this package, this is all you get. I felt like you were you
Right.
were you went above and beyond, and I appreciated it because it was just what I need to just get this launched and get it going.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for saying that. Only just because that's something that I've never heard it put that way, servant. But yes, that's definitely what I'm here to do. I want to serve and just be a guide in whatever way. And it always ends up being things that have nothing to do with my course that end up being some of the most helpful things. So I'm so happy to hear that. And we still have a way to go with getting everything done. So we're definitely not done yet. But I wanted to just kind of hear how it's been for you so far. So, we have talked about so many different things. I know you have some things coming up that you need to get to for today, but just what are any last thoughts you have? How can everyone connect with you? I'm just kind of share all those things before we go.
Yeah, I am on Kickstarter and Instagram through my my handle is Dreams and Glory. You can find me there. I've been more active on TikTok. I never thought I would say that. Because I'm like, it's owned by China. And my friends were like, Patty, what you have to say needs to go on TikTok. So I've grown a little bit of a following on TikTok, and kind of social media is like a whole nother beast for me, and sometimes
Mhm.
it can be overwhelming. But find me on there. My website is cloudlineco.com. You can also find me on Facebook. Uh, yeah, make a pledge through Kickstarter. Get a copy of the book. It comes in its own keepsake box with a bookmark. It's really good for gifting. Yeah, I that's me. You're gonna see a lot of me on those platforms. So
Definitely. And just as a last thing, oh, we didn't even really get into it too much, but yeah, y'all, she has been busy in the social media area, like posting pretty much daily and just sharing some really valuable information on those as well. So, yes, definitely check her out in all of the areas, make a pledge. It has been so amazing to have you on. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and just
no,
share
thank
about what
you.
you're working on. I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited for you. I know this is only the beginning, so I'm just really excited to just see what all of this becomes. So thank you so much.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited that the book is going to be here or be delivered if you pledge um, by June. So I still have some waiting to do.
Yeah.
Surprise,
Yeah.
surprise.
Right.
Yeah.
All
But yeah,
right.
once the campaign goal is met, then June will be the time frame. So
All
beginning of
right.
the summer.
Well, we are very excited. I'm definitely gonna make my pledge because I would love to have one as well. And we will see you all in the next one.
Okay.
Bye.